Iyanu struggled to find stability despite her education, spending the next few years hopping from job to job throughout Lagos. Thanks to an anonymous sponsor who had faith in her, she had excelled in high school, but young women without connections found it difficult to find employment. Recruiters would always say, "We'll get back to you," and then they would be silent. She took on whatever low-paying jobs she could find out of desperation. She was frequently accused of stealing by suspicious managers while working as a cleaner in a supermarket in Surulere. In Yaba, she was a nanny for a loud toddler whose mother treated her like an unpaid servant. She even endured taunts from the heat of the sun while selling soft drinks and pure water in the crowded streets of Odukoya for a brief period of time. She came home to her cramped shared apartment in Mushin every night, worn out and dejected but not defeated. She watched inspirational videos at cyber cafes and read self-help books from second-hand stores. She waited for a spark, but the fire in her heart never went out. However, she didn't completely understand the cruelty until she started working as a maid at the Odukoya mansion in Ikoyi. The Odukoyas were loud, wealthy, and callous. Madame Odukoya had an obsession with appearances. Her nails painted the shade of red, as sharp as her tongue, and her hair was always styled to perfection. She was clear from the moment Iyanu arrived. "You are the help. You should be seen, not heard. And don't even consider eating our food." Iyanu looked down and nodded. She scrubbed until her knuckles bled on their marble floors. If Madame felt she hadn't worked quickly enough, she frequently refused to give her food. She had once passed out from starvation, but rather than receiving assistance, she was slapped and told, "No one cares if you drop dead. Don't do it on my rug, please." After luxurious parties, she was woken up at odd hours to clean. Madame would insult her. She once said, "You smell like the street you came from." The kids were no better either. Her accented Yoruba speech was ridiculed by the daughters. Her only Sunday dress was discolored and her slippers were eaten. Wale the son was the worst. He once cornered her in the storeroom and made her stomach turn with his whispers. She pushed him away and spent the night locked in the storeroom. She kept it to herself. Who would trust a maid to be against the only son of the Odukoya family? But she endured it all. She drew bold ideas and colorful patterns in her fashion sketches at night. She let the colors and textures flow from her mind to paper as she drew dresses based on textiles from Balogun Market. She had developed a passion for sketching while she was at Lifeline, where she frequently observed the older girls repair clothing. After noticing her interest, Mama Iriti, a matron at the orphanage, started teaching her the basics of sewing using leftover materials and outdated uniforms. Iyanu was a natural, hemming ripped shirts, making her own basic blouses, and reusing leftover fabric into doll dresses. Her sketchbook, which was filled with ideas she hoped to realize someday, became a constant companion. Having previously worked with Mr. Odukoya on a tech startup investment, Tunde, a family guest, had known the Odukoyas for years. Their social connections endured despite the failure of the business activities, and Tunde occasionally came to the Ikoyi mansion for fundraisers or dinners. Tunde came from a lowly background, in contrast to the others. Before, he had been a struggling young man with nothing but ideas and willpower, continuously disregarded by those who believed that privilege was the only way to achieve success. For this reason, his curiosity grew when he saw Iyanu moving quietly through the house, unseen but full of potential. He reminded him of himself. Tunde discovered a sketchbook on the kitchen counter one afternoon while looking for a file in the study. As he flipped through it, curiosity took over. He discovered exquisite fashion designs on page after page that was unheard of before. Audacious, fearless, and expressive. He ran his finger over the lines of the pencil. The following day, he showed Iyanu a sketch and asked, "These are yours?" Unsure of how to react, she froze. "Yes, when I have free time, I draw." He grinned, clearly moved. "This is amazing, Iyanu." He had trouble sleeping that night. He was haunted by her work. Being unnoticed was a good thing, and he recalled what it was like to have big dreams but be constrained by a lack of resources. He came back the following week with magazines, pencils, and sketchbooks. He remarked, "I wish someone had believed in me sooner. Let me be that person for you." Temi, one of the Odukoya daughters, was initially suspicious. She questioned him rudely. Why do you care what the maid draws? However, Tunde refused to give up, because where you see a servant, I see talent. Temi eventually had to concede that Iyanu's drawings were remarkable. She ceased making fun of Iyanu and began to pay attention, noting the fine details in her designs that demonstrated her innate talent. One evening, Temi paused before speaking after observing Iyanu's sketch of a gown that would glimmer in a ballroom's lights. "She is good, you were correct," Temi admitted. Temi's interest in Iyanu's talents grew over time. Temi began asking Iyanu for the sketches so she could make designs for her at Madame Odukoya's lavish parties. Temi would soften her voice and say, "I need something for the upcoming event," as though she was pleading for a favor. She would give Iyanu a list of her measurements and a piece of cloth, and occasionally she would even let her choose the materials. Ever resourceful, Iyanu put her all into those designs, creating glitzy, high-end items that Temi proudly wore to the events. She immediately took center stage at every gathering, showing off Iyanu's creations without ever acknowledging her. Iyanu maintained her composure in spite of this, letting her talent do the talking. The opportunity to see her work appreciated even by someone who had previously criticized her was a silent victory for Iyanu. Even though Iyanu never asked for credit, Temi had unintentionally made it possible for her to be recognized. And whenever Temi showed off the dresses at Madame's parties, she couldn't help but feel a wave of silent pride. Iyanu enrolled in a fashion design course with Tunde's assistance. She studied at night and carried on with her maid duties during the day. Her scrubbing trained hands started forming fabric into dreams. A new chapter gradually started. Will Iyanu's dream as a fashion mogul come true? Will she escape or endure the cruelty of the Odukoya family? Will Temi ever give Iyanu credit for a design piece she wears? Stay tuned and find out in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more interesting stories. If you want to know more about the story, please give a thumbs up.